So I'm going to go ahead and remove the saddle just so you have a easier way of seeing here, because a lot of stuff has to be done right in between the saddle and it's hard to see, actually hard to get to and get your fingers in there. In some cases, if we're lucky, we can leave the bolt in place, loosen it up enough, spin that top, and then we can just lift this guy right off the rails. So now we got our cable end right here, got a little red piece right here, that's our actual lever. So if I hit the lever on the handlebar, press it, that happens there. And then to make it go down, we hold it again and your body weight would knock this back down and then release. So as you can see here, the cable got a little kinked right here. So that's what was happening to me. That's why I was getting all crushed up and stuff. So I'd say I probably got a good year out of it before it started acting up. So to dislodge this, like a cable brazen on your bike, it has a little slit, so this cable can slip out, but we got to release this. So I'm going to go ahead and push my lever down at the handlebar. I'm going to try and hold the lever here with my finger, and then that releases the cable tension. Now I can slide this right out, and I got that free of the little lever, and then I'm going to pull the whole housing out. I can pull my cable housing out, but the ferrule cap is stuck inside, so I'm going to be very careful not to crush the ferrule cap, because a lot of these are plastic. This one happens to be aluminum, but they will get crushed, and then it might be even harder to get out. So just be careful about that. So now we got this cable free. And at this point, we have a little black piece here. That's actually going to be part of the seat post. It's bolted on. It's got a little, probably a 1.5 millimeter Allen tool, if I'm not mistaken. We're going to stick that inside there, unscrew it. Actually, we're going to clip this end cap, the end wire, and then we're going to slide this little black piece out. Don't want to lose that guy. Super important to match up with our lever up here. So to make things a little bit easier, I'm probably just going to cut right below it, and then I can work with this over at the table. So this guy we need to keep. And at this point now, housing's loose. I can go ahead and start unrouting it. So here I had a zip tie just holding that guy in place so it wouldn't flop around too much. We're going to ride this guy down. So here's where this cable is actually going back into the frame, right underneath, in front of the bottom bracket, into the down tube. These other cables you see here, this one's for, we got the rear derailleur cable, and then we have our rear brake hydraulic line right there. So here we're looking at underneath the bike. Here's the bottom bracket here, and here's where the dropper seat post cable housing is entering the down tube right here, right inside here. So on your bike, you're either going to have a little rubber bushing right here. This guy can get pulled out. So that means that our hole in the frame is much bigger, which is nice. So when you go to reroute it, you have a little more bigger hole to work with to guide your cable back out the hole. If they don't have it this big, if it's smaller, then most likely they have an internally routed system inside your frame, which is nice, because then there's no worry about trying to work the end of that housing back out the hole, trying to fight with it and poke and prod trying to get it out. It has its own pathway, but you want to be absolutely sure what's going on inside there before you pull your old existing cable line out. And that goes for any cable running through your bike, whether it's a brake line, hydraulic, derailleurs, even electronic lines for your electronic shifting. So know what's going on first before you start pulling cables out, otherwise you might run into a big problem. You might have to use something like the Part Tool internal routing kit. So I'm going to go ahead, we're going to keep this little rubber piece, slide that off, throw that on the table, and start fishing this out. As I'm fishing this out, it's actually coming out the front of the bike and starting to exit. So at this point, I'll just go ahead and continue to pull this out. And you notice it's all one piece of housing. You're starting to see that. It's becoming a lot more common on a lot of bikes. They're doing that for the brakes, the derailleurs, obviously the hydraulic brake lines. I think the theory behind that is they're keeping everything pretty much sealed off, less areas. If it's less broken up, that means there's less areas for dirt and dust to get inside there. All right, so now we're ready to hone in on our brake lever. We have the housing, and our cable's actually right inside here. So here's the housing, actually stopped in. We have its own metal piece of noodle right here. So if I'm gonna pull the housing along with my black plastic ferrule cap out, I'm gonna hold this end here and slide that housing out, and then we are exposing our cable. So we have housing, black plastic ferrule cap, and then we have the actual black noodle of the lever, and that's a metal piece. And then here, right here is this piece right here is a barrel adjuster, much like you'd find on a shifter. So you can make a fine adjustment, either you're unscrewing or screwing, which is pulling tension on the cable, taking all the slack out, or releasing slack and that affects your lever here. So this is one area to check too. It's probably the easiest to do. So if you hit that lever and you're waiting for your seat post to pop up and it doesn't pop up, well, most likely there's a little too much slack, a little too much wiggle room of cable in there, so you need to probably unloosen. You're going to be unscrewing, which is coming outward, and that's going to pull tension on that cable, taking the slack out of the system, just like it would in your derailleur cable. And then when you go to hit this lever again, it's pulling cable the whole entire time, rather than just pulling slack and then cable. So the tighter it is, the more lever is going to get pushed down on that dropper post. So that means it's going to get actuated the whole 100% that it needs to move, and it should release that dropper post so you can go ahead and either pop it up or sit it back down. Now that I pulled this back, I'm going to go ahead and fish the the cable up, and you're going to see it pop out right about here, this guy right here. So this head right here, so very typical, it's going to use a derailleur cable, and it has that little small head that's going to fit in there perfectly seated. So at this point I'm just going to go ahead and start pulling cable out. And just don't pull too fast, this stuff will come flying out and whip you in the face. And then you got to explain that red mark on your face to the guys at work in the morning. Okay, so pull all that cable out. Now this housing is free. All right, let me know if you guys need more help on this, any more diagnosing issues going on. Thumbs up if you liked it, so don't forget to subscribe, and there'll be a lot more stuff coming up with a lot of helpful information. See you next time.